Hey, friends. Happy Tuesday. Hope each of you are doing fantastic as we move into fall and pumpkin spice season. As always, I'm so grateful that you are here with us because I know there are so many other places you can be. And thank you so much for joining me. I'm always so appreciative. And as you know, I really like these podcasts to be interactive. So if you have questions, please put them in the chat. And if you're here, let me know because I don't know you're here unless you tell us. I'm super excited to share another episode of Real Talk where I get to have real life conversations with incredible people from my circles and communities who overcome challenges and really create amazing. Today, my incredible guest is Samantha Tradelius. Samantha is a commercial property insurance broker and the owner of Commercial Coverage Insurance Agency, where she leans on her 24 years of industry experience to assist women owned businesses with risk management. She's also the award winning founder of the Sparkle Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to helping single women throughout the Bay Area, Los Angeles, and Sacramento. Her mission to support and her mission to support and uplift women shines through every project Samantha takes on. With the Sparkle Foundation and its resource arm, Sparkle Biz, Samantha provides financial aid for enrichment programs, microloans for female owned small businesses, and access to a large connected network. Since its founding in 2016, the Sparkle Foundation has raised more than $1 million with every dollar reinvested in the community. Her latest project, S by Samantha Inc., is all about giving real life women a voice. She hosts the weekly InspiHER'd podcast, shares a monthly roundup featuring female founded brands, and wrote a joyful book, Impact Stories of Changemakers, Creators, and Everyday Women Doing Extraordinary Work. When she's not dazzling the insurance industry or celebrating women, Samantha's raising two incredible daughters, finding ways to make a difference out there every day and living a life of purpose. Samantha's amazing. So please help me welcome Samantha to the show today. Good morning.
Hey girl, you're my hype girl. Can I take you everywhere with me?
You are so amazing. I mean, you're amazing. It's just inspiring how you just navigate all that you do. And every time we connect, you are just radiant and smiling. And I love that about you.
Here I am. Well, here we go.
Yes, yes. I'm excited. As I stumble on my words this morning and I'm learning, there is no perfect. So just show up and that's perfect in itself.
Well, you know what? It comes at you so many different ways. I mean, life is so chaotic and crazy, and so I think showing up and being present, and accepting what's going to come at you every day is, I think what it's all about. Being able
Yeah.
to kind of dodge the curveballs and embrace the goodness, I think, is what it's all about.
Yes, absolutely. And we just talked about that before we hopped on is, the fires that pop up and like you said, like expecting those fires and taking a step back and just moving through it and putting the fires out. And I heard you say that the fires are necessary. Why is that?
Well, you have to because they say it's not a mistake if you learn from it, which
Yes.
is kind of that kind of saying because as you're going through, you're like, oh my god, this is terrible. But I really do feel it as an entrepreneur or just as a grown woman, you have to have these little roadblocks because it makes you better, it makes you stronger, and you really can kind of test yourself and see what you're made of. Even though as it's happening, it never feels like that in the moment, but in hindsight, it's good. You gotta go through it.
Yes, you got and you learn. And I've learned that I become more resilient. And when I'm put on the spot and there's a fire and I'm on the spot, I've learned to just really pause and I ground myself and I'm able to move through it. And you don't even realize, like within myself, I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? Isn't it, there's an analogy of the duck. Like you see the duck, going through, floating through the water smoothly, but underneath their petals are going
Mhm.
quickly. And that's what it feels like sometimes.
It was interesting when I was having my first daughter. I remember going into one of those birthing classes, and you go in and they show you how to wash the baby and change a diaper because no one knows how to do that stuff. Well, one of the first things out of this woman's mouth, she goes, "Whatever your birth plan is, it's whatever it is, throw it out the window because it's not going to be the way it is. And that literally is the way life is. So
Yeah.
whatever you think it is, or whatever you think this next level of life will be for you, it will not be a straight path. It will be messy. It will be complicated. And I think that's what makes life super exciting. And again, just like embracing those moments, because you learn so much as you go.
Yeah.
And if you take, hey, that didn't work, or hey, I don't want to go that way, I want to go this way. And next time when you find yourself in that situation, or you find someone else in that situation, you could say, hey, you know what? I did this and it didn't work. Try this.
Yeah.
It can be quite rewarding.
Absolutely. And I've learned, I think Ed Milet said this, there is a message in our mess.
Yes. Messy indeed, but there is a message.
There's a message in our mess. And so you're an amazing, networker and just connecting women together through all of the different endeavors you have through business, through the foundation. We're all so busy doing so many different things. How can we nurture relationships and build community when we have life going on all around us?
Well, I think, we always hear that word balance, and I kind of hate that
Mhm.
word balance because I really don't like, let's just throw it off the table. I really think it's designing your days and your life into what works for you, and each
Mhm.
day will be different.
Yes.
And so it's not that we're managing all the things, we are managing too many things, I think, as individuals, especially in this day and age. But
I
I
agree.
really do think focusing on the things that A, bring you joy, B, bring you purpose, and
Mm.
fulfill your life, and make you feel good when you go to bed at night. I mean, those are the things that you really should put at the top level. And then all the rest of the stuff. I mean, the laundry, the groceries, the kids, the kids get a high level, but I mean,
Yeah.
the driving around and doing all the things. I mean, that stuff's life. That's just the way it is.
Yes.
But the other ways you fill your buckets, I think, are things that you can really be definitive about to fulfill your success in whatever space that needs to be.
Mhm. And so when you have all of, those other things, because the laundry still needs to get done,
There's always laundry. There's always freaking
there's
laundry.
and how do we, and you're right, there's no balance. Some days it's this and some days it's that. How have you been successful in delegating? Isn't easy, and I know it's part of being an entrepreneur, so you have to delegate. What has been the most challenging piece for you to delegate?
I mean, I'm such a type A gal.
Me too.
So for me, it's really like, well, I'll just get it done myself, right? And it's
Mm.
harder for me a lot of times to explain things that I could just do and be done with. But the moment that I kind of realized, like, hey, if I could offload this moment to somebody else that's really probably better at it than I am and could do it more efficiently, then I can open up space for so much more. I mean, that moment was so, I think, important and scary at the same time, because then you were kind of like losing control of certain things.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
at the end of the day, when you do offload a lot of that stuff to the right person, it does really open you up to a lot more opportunities to do the things that are you're best suited for.
Yes, and I've had a challenge with that. That's been a long road for me to delegate as much as possible, and you're right, the more I delegate, the more opportunities and possibilities come my way. And it's not an easy thing because, like you said, it's control, because we think we can do it better. We don't, it takes more time to train the person to do it, or to find the right person. But then when you put that effort in, it just opens up an incredible amount of space to do those incredible things that you're doing to serve the community and start a nonprofit.
Yeah. And I think the decision that we make, or not a decision, it kind of makes itself for the decision makes itself for us, that we
Sometimes,
can't do it all. And
no,
so the moment that you're like laying in bed, you're so exhausted, and you're like, God, like you're like half-assing everything because you're not able to whole ass anything because you're in
right?
so many different directions. But that moment that you say, hey, look, I need help, or hey, maybe I can do these different things, it really does open it up. And it is kind of a defining moment, I think, for any career or any professional, is when you realize that things really do shift around for you.
They do, and I also recognize, like, relinquishing that control, releasing the control. For me, the control was a sense of safety,
Yes.
and, because I had so much chaos in my life, but if I can just control what I can control that help me feel safe, and then I realized, like you said, we can't do it all, and to really achieve the level of success and to be productive and happy in purpose, like it takes a village. We need
It totally
community.
does. But even just going back to what we started on, our, when the grenade lands on your desk, if you're
Yeah,
so absorbed in all these tasks and things that you have no bandwidth or space for anything else that comes your way, when that grenade does land on your desk, you're just like ready to die because
yeah,
you don't have any more space for it. So I think by offloading or reorganizing some of the tasks within your organization, a lot of times you can make space to better manage the grenade and make it more of a learning moment and not less of a chaotic, dramatic filled experience.
absolutely. And I shared with you that I'd had a couple grenades fall in my lap the last few days, and had I, not had the tools and resources, then I wouldn't be able to show up with you today and have a good time.
I
So,
know.
and so starting a nonprofit, that's amazing. And especially the nonprofit that you have, Sparkle, that helps, single mothers. Talk to me, like how did you start that? That's just so amazing and so needed, and you've done such a great job. And I know we said you raised 1 million, but I read somewhere else that you've raised $1.7 million.
I just updated my bio. I just
That's
put it up
incredible.
online. Yeah, no, it will be 7 this year. I'll actually have spent 20. This is my 20th year doing the gift drive, which is we just launched, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So when
Congratulations.
I was about 23, I was really wanting to give back to my community, do more, and started researching charities, and like wasn't really finding what I wanted. Because a lot of these organizations aren't always super transparent with the way they spend funds. And so for me as a young woman, like if I had $100, because that was all the extra money I had, I wanted to make sure it really went to
Mhm.
what I thought it was and not to like pay someone's salary or lunch.
Absolutely.
So when I originally started, I hooked up with the post office in LA, and it was the Dear Santa program. So kids would write letters to Santa, and then you could go to this postal like facility, give them your ID, and they take your fingerprints and make sure you weren't a psycho. And then you would go in and get access to these kids' addresses, their names, and their letters to Santa. And the first year I did 2, then it was like 5 or 6. And then, 13 years later, we were doing like 17 families out of my house.
Wow.
And I had raised like $37,000 just by like, hey, I need bikes and crayons and shoes and shirts. And my community was like, yeah, let's do this.
I love it.
And so at that point, it was like, okay, this is something legit. And it had been brought up a lot, like, why don't you form a nonprofit? And I was like, I got 2 little babies. I've got a full-time insurance job. Like, I don't need something else to do. But then the more I thought about it, it was like, if we could do more and serve more, then maybe it would make sense. And so with that, I had no idea I knew how to run a business. I had no idea how to run a nonprofit, let alone form one. Did a lot of research, dug deep, made some moves, made some bad moves. But then, 6 months later, we received our 501c3 status in 2016
Nice.
and took off running. And so our purpose is single moms. We serve single moms in a couple different ways. We have our holiday gift drive, which is, the mainstay, which I started doing 20 years ago. We have microloans, which are geared for single moms that want to start or grow their businesses. We have enrichment scholarships. So you figure you've got a mom who could put food on the table, roof over their head, but now son or daughter wants to play basketball, and it's $700, and it's like dinner or basketball, right? And decision no one needs to make. So we fund those programs. And then finally, we do backpacks for back to school. We just did 5,000 of them this year.
Wow, that's incredible.
The programs have grown year to year. Like I said, we've raised 1.7 million. And the beautiful thing is, when I started doing the gifting, it was because I wanted to be transparent. And so 7 years later, we are still 100% in and 100% out. So if somebody donates $100, it's literally going to go buy a pair of, bicycle, whatever the kids need, bikes, shoes, backpacks, all the things. And that's something we're very proud of. We serve Bay Area counties from Sonoma to San Jose and all the East Bay, Sacramento area, and then Los Angeles as well right now. And we've served over 10,000 lives. It's pretty incredible.
That's amazing. I just got the chills, and it was all from, you used to back when you were 23 years old, and then you just brought it all the way forward, and now just serving so many and giving back to so many. It's incredible. It's amazing.
It's good work. It's good work. It feels good.
And I know you've had, galas and events, and those are very successful. And how do you bring the community together? Is there, do you hold event? Like, how is it that you bring these people together to donate, to give back?
So we're 100% grassroots, which is kind of unique in a sense to where, like, I've started I would go down the like grant route. And I was really realizing, number one, I'm not a grant writer. Number two, I didn't want to hire a grant writer because a lot of these grant writers, you don't understand, they make money based off of the amount that the grant is. And I
Got
was
it.
so grossed out. I was like, ew, if you're going to get $100,000 grant, I mean, they'll take $5,000, $10,000. And so that's not what I wanted to be involved with. So I was like, no, I want to have a little bit more agency over how we use funds, what we use them for. And so I've always been very transparent. Like, I need money to buy backpacks. Here's a backpack. Here's what we're doing. And people really responded to it because they could see where their dollars were going.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the experience of being able to participate.
Yes.
So we have 500 plus volunteers over the years that have come and help us. And we're just about to do Christmas, and we'll have 300 plus people show up to wrap gifts. And what we do is provide space for people to come in and get involved at a monetary level if they want, at a time level if they want, at a strategy level if they want. It allows people to meet the organization where they are and participate as they want. And it's become a family event, and it's kids and it's moms and it's dads and it's first responders. I mean, we're all doing the work together, and it's all benefiting single mothers throughout California, which is so cool.
I love that. It's amazing. And I will be there to help wrap gifts this year for sure.
So excited. December 9th, I think it's going to be December 8th and 9th in the Bay Area. And then Sacramento will be doing December 10th. I think we're trying to figure out all the logistics. But yeah, we're second Saturday in December is usually our go day.
I love it. That's exciting. And so with all of, the donations that you've made and the giving back, is there one, I'm sure there's so many success stories, but are you open to share one success story with us?
I mean, there's so many, and it's so emotional, because you get so involved at a, micro level back here because you're dealing with the nitty gritty stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then also then you put a face to a human being, to experience of what you're doing. I mean, some of the stories I think that are the most touching are when a woman will come up to me in the market and I've got my sparkle hat on, and she'll say, you have no idea what you did for my family. Or one year, I think, like, this woman she's still so incredible, and she shows up at every event. She was at a wrapping event one year, and she came up to me and she introduced herself, and I knew the name, and she goes, "You changed my life. You provided my family with X, Y, and Z. And without you, we wouldn't have been able to make it." And, that moment is such a big moment because it's like, what you're doing, but you don't realize, like, you're in some ways sometimes changing lives for the better.
Yes.
And those types of stories, they stick with me. And those women, I love the moms that we serve for Christmas. And then a couple years later, they come back and they're wrapping gifts for another family because they knew what it meant for them. I mean, and it's just such a full circle.
Yes, that's beautiful. It's like the little pebble in the pond that creates the ripple, and then it just all comes back full circle, like you mentioned earlier.
And we give with no intention of ever getting back. I mean, it's not like we keep it very anonymous. Because there's a lot of shame in that moment for women, because to know that you need help is so hard, and we want to take that out of the equation. But also, there's no strings attached. We're genuinely interested in helping you trampoline and get out of this place where you're at. And to be able to come back and fulfill that for another person, I mean, that to me brings me more joy than anything I could ever explain.
And I can feel it because, even the energy now, it just feels so uplifting and so inspiring and so loving and so giving, which we don't talk about that enough. It's like we're bombarded with negativity so much, in the media, that we don't realize that there's stories like this happening every single day in most communities. It's just not shared. And so I want to really highlight that good things are happening. There are amazing people out there. Communities are amazing. People are giving back. People want to help. And for us not to lose sight of that.
100%. And thank you for saying that. I mean, the community here in, the Bay Area is so incredible. And there's so many amazing organizations. I mean, I'm on the circuit because I'm involved in the nonprofit space. There are so many wonderful organizations doing incredible work. And it's like, the stories, when you hear of goodness, it makes you feel good.
Yes.
And I think that's something that more of us absolutely do know, need to know more of, because the world is very negative. And a lot of what we get jammed down our throats, whether it's on your Facebook screen or on the news, is not positive a lot of times. And so if you could be involved in positive organizations and positive change, whatever that means to you, by all means, like jump in and do it.
Yes, yes, because I believe that. I believe that there's just greatness and people step up to help. I've seen it so many times in my own community. So that's why I love this podcast and highlighting the amazing that people are doing in our own community, because I think we lose sight of that when we get bombarded with everything else. You're a mother, a wife, vice president, of your company. You have Sparkle Foundation. You're a philanthropist. How do you juggle it all? I know we said there isn't any balance, but where is self-care involved, and how do you stay present and grounded to support so many of us?
I drink a lot of coffee. I
I
swear, I swear a lot. No, I'm kidding.
swear a lot too.
I totally swear a lot. No, you know what's interesting is probably like 2 or 3 years ago, kind of maybe in the COVID moment, I really started to make a moment for myself every day with, you say self-care, you say, just kind of tending to yourself and realizing like, hey, I need this. I dedicate 1 hour every morning and I exercise. And that could be a walk, that could be Pilates, that could be, I started lifting weights this year. And I'm telling you, like that 1 hour for me every single day is honestly what helps me be able to function in all the different roles that I'm doing. Because I know, like, some days, like I'll say it all the time, I go to bed and I feel like a hero. And some days I go to bed and I feel like a zero because I wasn't enough of this or I didn't do enough of that. And there's this constant like rat race we're all trying to be a part of. But that 1 hour every single morning that I give myself is an hour that like I tune it out. Or even if I am like in tune, I really just try to focus on being present and grounded and like focusing on me. And that's really, I think, something that's helped me immensely as I've gotten older.
I can relate to that. That's how I begin my morning too, is moving my body, in a short meditation, and it's works miracles. I mean, I've been doing it for years, and like you said, that helps me be more resourceful to put out the fires. And you talked about the grenades that land on your desk, and just taking that time, it's important. If
Well,
not,
I
I
think
spin.
being able to like just hit the button and say, you know what, like I'm gonna snooze life for the minute and do it. It's like literally I drop the girls off at school and I go do me.
Mhm.
And my day will start when I'm back at my office. And some people say, well, I don't have time. You know what? If you have to get up an hour earlier to get that time, guys, because that time is so critical.
I
And
agree.
even if maybe that time's when everybody goes to bed and it's a nighttime moment for you, give yourself the time, because I think that we don't give ourselves the time. And the moment I did make the time, things changed a lot for me.
You said the moment that you did make the time, things changed a lot. I hear you.
100%.
And so, again, life happens. We have challenges come our way, and we still have to run businesses and, be there for the families. How do you get through those things when something really challenging? I know you had something challenging happen not too long ago, and you still had to show up. How are you able to do that?
Well, I think the thing you're speaking of is a very dear girlfriend of mine passed away. And it was my college best bud, and we were thick as thieves. And I had to get up and I was asked to give her eulogy. And here I am, like grieving in my own way. And, I've only had a couple major losses, knock on wood at this stage. This one was really painful. And then to have to get up there and talk. And for me, I can get up and talk in front of a room, no problem. Like it's hard, but I can do it. But now it was an emotional me, because usually I can hide behind my subject matter, whether it's Sparkle or insurance or whatever the case. But to get up there and be vulnerable and have feelings, and all I was thinking as I was up there was like, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. And so what I do is, I understand my nature is connective in nature. And I know that in times of sadness, for me, what helps me is the light of humor and laughter and love. And so what I did is I really celebrated our laughter and our love of life together. And that was the story that I shared. And so it was hard as hell, man. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But being able to share the laughter and the love of this beautiful individual really was cool. And I think everybody in the room really appreciated that moment because that's who she was. But that was really hard.
And I remember, like, we spoke, like, literally just, I think, days after, and I just have so much respect for you, because I said, Samantha, we really could have pushed this off, and you chose to show up and be vulnerable, and I appreciated that, because I can't imagine what that must have felt like. Yet again, you showed up in your raw and authentic self, and I appreciated that, and I'm sure those, at the service appreciated it, because it's not an easy thing to do, and you did it.
Thank you. No, and you know what else I did right after that is I had a scheduled trip to go to Las Vegas with another girlfriend, which was planned for months, and we were going to go see Adele, and we did this
Oh,
plan for months. And so, word of the service being the same weekend, I thought, oh, I'm not going to go to Vegas. I'm not going to go to Vegas. And then I thought, you know what? Anita would want me to go to Vegas. Like
yes,
she
you
would
would.
want me to go. So I go, and Adele, being Adele, the first two like sounds that come out of her mouth, I'm in the stage just bawling my
I was
eyes
gonna say I feel it, like, I would have
out.
probably
Oh, it
bawling.
was a mess. Of all the things I've done in Vegas, sobbing at to the point I could barely breathe was not one of them I ever planned. But like, what a cathartic
Yes.
moment to have that was so special. And I actually posted an Instagram video of her singing, and I had tagged her and I said, "You have no idea how much I needed you tonight," and I
Mm,
really did. And it was just this amazing moment that almost makes me want to cry again. But yeah, I mean, doing hard things is hard and it's
yes,
incredibly challenging.
it
Um,
is.
and as we get older, those moments they hit differently. And so, yeah, I appreciate you honoring that space because it was a tough space and a space that unfortunately we all have to go through at different times in our life.
We do, we do, and again, how can we honor our grief, honor the person we lose, and still stay present to what's around us? It's not a easy tightrope to walk, and you just demonstrated it so beautifully. So I really wanted to, highlight that. So thank you for being open and sharing about it.
Yeah, I think transparency is important,
It
being
it
human.
is, but also,
Human.
we need to be discerning, and I wanted to be respectful, but you're amazing. And that's what I love about you. Your energy, and something that I can relate to is, being told, "Okay, you're too much." Like when you have this energy and you have this desire, and so how something you talk about is for us to use our unique skills to leverage our businesses. How can we do that? Like, if you have a superpower, how can you leverage that superpower
I
in your
think we
business?
all have things that we're good at, whether it's, spreadsheets or ideas or people or whatever we're good at. And I think part of becoming, in tune with your craft is really growing that craft. So
Mhm.
my deal is I'm a good communicator. I'm good with people. I understand how people tick. And so for me, that's like my love language in life. Like I can
Love it.
connect with people. And I think being able to use that to my advantage has been, great in sales, obviously, because, people want to do business with people they can connect with. And
Yes.
as an employer, it's also important because it allows me to be connected with my staff and have a relationship that's nurturing and caring, but also boundaries and respectful. Um,
Mhm.
some people aren't good at certain things, and instead of trying to, put themselves in situations of failure, it's really finding those ways of success with whatever you're good at, and then whatever you're not good at, surround yourself with the people that are good at it
Mhm.
to help you all be better at whatever the goal is.
Yes.
And that's kind of just the secret sauce, I think, of any, successful stew, if you will.
So, focus on your strengths and what your superpower is, and those things, you don't have to be great at everything. Focus on what you're fantastic at, and then delegate the rest.
Yeah, and I think as a business owner, you need to know how to do everything. Like it always baffles me when you have a business owner who's like, "Well, I don't know how to do that," and I was like, "Whew, you shouldn't be. You need to be able to do every line
Mhm.
item in every business, in my opinion. But that doesn't mean you need to do it every day. But you
Right.
need to know how to do it.
Yes.
And I think really knowing that, knowing your strengths, knowing other strengths, we all again, we don't need to be the best at everything.
Right.
And realizing that I
Yeah.
think is something that's hard for women because again we want to be good, we want to do it all,
I
Grace.
know. I know. And I've been there and done that. It doesn't work. It's not sustainable. And you're not able to grow really. I don't mean like grow as a person, but it's challenging to grow the business and to leverage the business when you're trying to do everything. And the other point, I agree with you. So in my business, I don't do everything. However, I know how to do, 98%. There's some stuff that accountant has to take care of, because then also when my employees are, in the trenches, I know exactly what they're going through. I know how long everything takes. I know the effort that it takes. So that way I'm realistic with my expectations as well.
Yeah, I mean, the best example I can give you, I belong to in the past, I was at a fitness studio. And, when the teacher wouldn't show up, then they would just cancel classes and shut down because the boss didn't know how to do the classes. And I was like, listen, this is business 101, team, or you get somebody in there who can
Mhm.
fill in the blank for a
You could
second.
have probably taught the class.
I mean, that's how I started in insurance teaching. Was teacher didn't show up, and I was like, hell, I guess I'm just going to do this. But
Just do
not
it.
everybody thinks like that. But I think honestly, you need to know, because going back to the fact of just having the respect amongst the staff, like I'm not too good to lick an envelope or go run
Mhm.
a supply run or have a
Ditto.
terrible conversation with somebody because they're angry. Like you need to do all that stuff, because
Yep.
then the people around you are going to be excited to do all that stuff too.
Yes, yes, yes. And I always say, even with my, in my staffing firm, with my contract employees, I let them know, like, I am not going to send you out to do something that I wouldn't do myself.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think a lot of employers that don't have the best relationships with their employees, there's this I'm here, you're here. And it's
Mhm.
very clear who's here and who's here and who's signing the checks. But like you should also be, able to meet everybody on the same level.
Absolutely. And I love the book, The Go Giver. Have
Hmm.
you remember that?
I think
And
I have heard of it. I've not read it.
I want to read it again, because it talks about, again, there's no hierarchy. Like we're all human beings. We all have, like, that needs to be seen, heard, loved. It doesn't matter where. And so just constantly being in a space and energy of kindness and giving back, regardless if you're speaking to, the janitor or the CEO, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But
It
there
doesn't-
also needs to be the line of respect and understanding of each
Absolutely.
other's roles and expectations. And, hey, this is, we can all do each other's job, but this is also where I focus and,
Absolutely.
wanting to succeed. And again, I think being in that open space with your team really creates a different environment than a lot of other companies out there. And I've always been in the smaller business,
Me
owned
too.
a business that was a smaller business. Corporate, I know, is a lot different because it's just there's so many hierarchies and
Sure.
levels, and
A lot of different layers.
that for me never worked, because I liked really being in that environment to where we could work together and accomplish the goals together on the same playing field.
Yeah, no, and that's powerful. It's a powerful place to be. And I'm grateful, that I've been able to experience that. And so, can anyone start a nonprofit?
Yeah, you totally can. It's hard though. And I always say, because I get asked a lot, like, people will say, hey, I would love to pick your brain. And I go, the first thing is there something else that's out there already that you can jump
Mm,
in and get involved with? Because
nice.
to say I have a nonprofit is such a wonderful like title, but it's also a lot of work and there's so many parts to it. And so when I was, discovering this space, I really wasn't finding what I wanted. And so for me, it made sense to go down this road. But a
Mhm.
lot of times, somebody's involved with animals or oceans or, school supplies. And there's so many organizations that are already out there ticking, and getting involved with them and learning how to work with them. It sometimes makes sense. But yeah, I mean, anybody can do it. It is a lot of work.
Yeah, I bet. It sounds like it's a lot of work. However, if you have the passion, and like you said, if there's a gap, because with you're not with Sparkle, there was a gap, and you close that gap with what you're doing.
Yeah, and I mean, also, I created an incredible team of people that were like-minded and mission-focused and brought different things to the table than I did. And at the end of the day, we all have this incredible focus of, what we're doing and how we're doing it. And 10% of every single one of them creates this incredible beast of a creature. It's like the Avengers, I always say, like this
Mhm.
board. I mean, I am 5% of the organization. I mean, I definitely run the torch and will, take the sword first. But I mean, it's this crew of incredible women and men behind me that are moving the mission forward every day. But it is hard, and it is hard because it's all volunteer. Like no one gets paid, so there's
Mhm.
that aspect of it. Like running an organization that's as successful as ours without any paid employees. I mean, that's
Mhm.
something that's nuts.
That's
Volunteer
amazing.
labor, right?
Amazing.
And then every year, like, we got to go out and like get money and like fundraise and pound the pavement. And that part of it is like, I would never think of myself as a fundraiser, but you know, when I look at down and I'm like, wow, we brought in this much money. This is incredible. And I think the mission speaks for itself. And so for me, I don't feel like I'm selling something. I'm just like, why wouldn't you want to buy a bicycle for a young boy? Like, come on. You buy lunch, like buy a pair of socks. Like, yes, come on, get involved. I think that part of it speaks for itself. So it's not easy, but it's easier than selling insurance, if you will. But yeah, I mean, it is a lot of work.
You know, I can understand why it's been so successful. It's because you've been at the head of it and your energy's amazing and you have just this, you're contagious and your ability to just give back and serve. I can really see why people are drawn to you and want to help and why you have 500 volunteers and why it's been doing so amazing. I think that you're amazing and just so inspiring. And it's a gift to have had you on today. I'm so excited to be part of, Sparkle and get in there with your mission. It's again, yes, you have the board and the 500, but it needs a leader, and you're an amazing leader. So I just want to commend
Grace,
you
you're
for that.
fantastic. Can I just bring you with me?
No, I'm
You're just
serious.
gonna
Like
come.
your
Come
energy,
with
and
me.
because I mean, look, I'm a business owner. I mean, I know what it takes to do. Like I said, you just show like your energy, and you just show up in this mission, and you're determined, and you draw people together. That is your superpower.
Thank you. No, it's been a journey. It's still a journey I'm on. And
We're all on a journey.
it's always interesting. I remember when I, started it and I, is even branching out to do the Sparkle Biz. I remember so many people were like, you're kind of like, what are you doing? I don't know. And for every person that was like, I love to say like, watch what we've done.
Yes,
Right?
and that's what I love.
And watch where we're going, because
Yes,
we're not done yet.
and I love that fire, and that's what it takes, and that's what's contagious about you.
Well, thank you. Yes,
Mhm.
I do have a lot of those flames, those sparkly
Yes,
flames.
I love it, I love it, and again, thank you, so much. I would love if you can share with our audience where they can find you, how they can get involved.
Yeah, so we just let's see. So samanthastradelius.com is my website where you can kind of find all the things. I do a monthly blog like we talked about
Mhm.
earlier. I've got a podcast
Podcast.
myself that
Yep.
Grace will be on here in a
Yes.
couple weeks. You can also find the Sparkle Foundation there, or at sparklenow.org, which is kind of our mainstay. We just launched our holiday gift drive nominations, so that is now open until October 31st. At that point, we'll shut it down and then we'll figure out how many families. We're looking to do 80 families for Christmas
Wow,
this year, which is the most
beautiful.
ever. And
Yeah.
so we've got a big few months up in front of us. It's crazy, chaotic, and fun. So, and if you're on social media, you can follow us at Sparkle Foundation.
Yes, and we will put all of that information in, and if you have any questions or are interested in getting involved, definitely reach out. What about corporate donations? Is that
Oh yeah.
something?
Oh
Okay.
yeah. No, we'll take your money any day, and no 100% of it will go back to serve these wonderful families. We're
Yes.
hooked up on Benevity, I know, which is a big corporate matcher. So a lot of times, if you want to donate that way, you can.
Okay.
And then we do a lot of businesses will actually kind of come in and say, "Hey, I want to buy, bicycles for Christmas," and it's X amount of dollars. Like, they like to have a focus.
Mhm.
I know some of our organizations like to come in and wrap and do, deliveries and do that kind of stuff as a group too for businesses. So there's a lot of different ways to get involved. And I think one of the great things about us is we could really tailor make that giving moment for any business or any human that wants to get involved. If there's something specific that really speaks to you, we can really kind of make that happen when it comes to our gift experience.
I love it. And so in the Bay Area, you're in Marin, located in Marin. If someone wants to come out and actually, be grassroots in it with you, you're in Marin.
Yes, so we'll be wrapping in Novato is kind of our mainstay. It's where most of us live and kind of everything takes place. However, our reach as far as Christmas goes is we'll deliver gifts all the way up to Sonoma County, down to San Jose, and everything in between. So it's Marin County, San Francisco, and then East Bay. And then we have a Sacramento group that does the same thing. And then we have an LA group that does the same thing. So we all simultaneously do the same stuff on the same days, and we will have outreach in all these different various counties. So it's anywhere you're in California, like we will
We got
put
you.
you to work.
Okay, great. Love that. So again, I am going to put Samantha's information um, in the chat. And then also if you're listening to the podcast on a replay, we'll have that there, and we'll have your information actually on the iTunes and Podbean podcast. So even if it's after the holidays, if someone wants to reach out and donate, they can, or get involved. Also, if you have any questions, don't hesitate, put them in the chat. I can look at them and get them to Samantha as well. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're a very busy woman, and I appreciate you. And for all of you watching today live, I always appreciate it, and on the replay. And please, if you enjoyed this episode, subscribe and share, because that's how we can continue to come and share these, incredible conversations with you. Because again, it's like we're part of this community, and if you know someone amazing in your community, definitely reach out to us. We're always open to have new people on. Thank you, Samantha, for joining me. Hang on with me. Love you all, and wish you an incredibly blessed day. See you all soon. Thanks.